We know them as our favorite Adventure Time characters. Genderbent, Cake the Cat, and Fionna the Human are some of my favorite concepts to come out of Adventure Time. Hey everyone, I'm Nathan. And it's absolutely crazy to me that these characters started out as just fan art by Natasha Allegri that would go on to become the highest record telecast for Adventure Time until it was dethroned by Burning Low a year later in 2012. Fans have been craving a Fionna and Cake spin-off of Adventure Time for a while now. So to celebrate us getting that very thing on HBO Max, I asked my Patreon members what kind of video they would want to see to sort of celebrate this. They voted to genderbend Adventure Time characters that never got a Fionna and Cake design in the first place. If that sounds like your cup of tea, feel free to like and subscribe. If this video does well, I might make another Adventure Time centric video, especially one covering theories, because it was such a big part of fandom, and that was the second most requested video. Just food for thought. But with all that being said, let's go ahead and jump into these redesigns. Our first character for the redesign is going to be Susan Strong. While researching, there are some Susan redesigns for Fionna and Cake already in the fan space. I couldn't make out the signature, but if you know this artist, please comment down below so that I can give them proper credit in the description. I came across this design by illustrator Ultimate Z called Samson Strong, and I was absolutely obsessed with this interpretation of the character. First off, Samson Strong, excellent name for gender-bending Susan. And two, you can tell from the corner that this was still when we weren't sure if Susan was human or a human, like had a fish skills coming out of her head. All of this was just so charming, so I end up basically doing fan art of Ultimate Z's fan art, and I just go with this design, but in my style. I say my style, but this really is kind of a take on the Adventure Time style, so take that with a grain of salt. The only editorial change I make is I lower the tail from the headpiece to the sort of loincloth, just because I think catboys should have long tails. Meow meow. With this design already pretty much done for me, I wanted to then take on a challenge of redesigning a princess. The problem is most of the princesses do have canonical gender-bent versions in the Fionna and Cake universe, so I had to get a little creative, but I eventually found this princess, who is named Orange Princess. She also had the nickname VR Princess, and her one characteristic is that she loves science. Her headset reminded me of those LED masks that I see on TikTok sometimes. Like, I like how they blink and the facial expression changes. I just think it's kind of cute. How do they do that? I don't know. But you know that I did one muscle man already, so the opportunity to create a twink must be taken. I simply had no choice in the matter. This is for equality. I opted for blue, which is a complementary color to orange, and I gave him like a dark black leather jacket. I just think that's so funny how men's products typically use like black or neutral colors to promote themselves. Like, nope, you're a boy, you don't get colors. This is men's shampoo. That's just so humorous to me, and I want to reflect that in these designs, sort of as a tongue-in-cheek way of like acknowledging the gender stereotypes that come with the idea of gender bending a design. I don't know, might as well lean into it. Character 3 is Billy. I liked the idea of gender bending Billy. I had a little hiccup in the original run because I was trying to like sort of mimic the long beard with long hair, but I realized that most grandmas don't have long hair. They have like Princess Diana hair. So once I made it shorter, it just really kind of helped the design fall into place. I also changed the gauntlet into a boot because I think that asymmetry is sort of important whenever we do these redesigns. And the final character that I'm gender bending is none other than the Lich himself. Spoilers ahead, obviously, I will be talking in depth about the Fionna and Cake series. Oh my gosh, Jerry being the Lich and this being the world if the Lich had won was such a mind-blowing experience. I did not see it coming at all. It was great. My gender-bent version is named Baelnorn, which is based off of the elven Lich of the same name from D&D. Adventure Time, as I think most of you should know if you clicked on this video, is heavily inspired by Dungeons & Dragons, so it felt fitting to use a different kind of Lich to sort of parallel that character in the Fionna and Cake universe. Yeah, also, trigger warning, if gore is something that you're not interested in, I am drawing a lot of muscle groups. If you can handle a science textbook, I think you'll be okay. But yeah, it is sort of unsettling imagery. In this show, they also refer to the Lich as the last priest of Glob, so I really clung to this idea of the last priestess of Glob, and I kind of took inspiration of like a nun for her design. I also did the same thing that I did with Billy, where she had long hair and I end up chopping it off and just going with a veil. I felt like that sort of fit the vibe more. In D&D, the Lich is essentially an undead spellcaster, so to try to sort of represent that for Baelnorn, I decided to go on this like muscle, skinless form, and it is really scary, but I end up undercutting the illustration that you're about to see me begin. I wanted to make fan art that was referencing the iconic scene where the Lich is wearing Billy's skin. Like, I literally trace the image because it's just so iconic and I wanted to have the same shape language, and this is just fan art, so it's not that serious. I was like, whatever, I'll just trace it. But because I end up going for muscles as the horror element of Baelnor's design, it just looks like a person whose skin is peeling off, which is less scary than someone wearing someone else's skin. So in hindsight, this image probably doesn't have the same scary impact as the first one, but I don't know, maybe it does. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. We've also reached the part of the video where I'm about to indulge you all in my thoughts on the Fionna and Cake series, so buckle up, get ready. Obviously, this is just my opinions. Your opinion is valid, my opinion is valid. We can all share them down below as well, but let's get started. It was a little jarring to have the show take place where there was no magic and we're in this new setting, but as long as I was getting Fionna and Cake front and center, I didn't mind at all. But I was a little nervous on episode 2 when it was so Simon focused. I was like, oh no, is this just gonna be the Simon and Finn the Human show? Like, I'm glad that he's really hot and beefy, but I want Fionna and Cake. But this is actually very crucial to the show overall, and I'm happy to report that this is a Fionna and Cake show. Albeit much more mature with the HBO Max release, they actually have real blood, which I thought was absolutely crazy. Fionna and Cake are given their own villain completely unique to them called the Scarab, who is essentially trying to delete them from existence because their multiverse universe should not exist. And after that slow burn start of the first 3 episodes, this clip happens in episode 4. I had to take it on my phone because I couldn't find one online, but it's just Fionna and Cake running down a hall, Fionna asking Cake, do we really exist? And Cake saying to her, who cares who created us? We decide what we do. Of course we exist. And I cried in this scene. It was like so moving and beautiful. I think we all struggle sometimes with where we come from and who we are, and it's really nice to just be told that we're enough just because we are. That's why I loved this mini-series so much. Yes, there's something gratifying as a fan who, for a long time, we believed that Fionna and Cake weren't real, that they were just fan fiction created by the Ice King in his sort of mad state, and being told that they are real, and in fact that they were created by Prismo, which is like so out of the box thinking, but a payoff of like these shapes being projected in his head while he dreams at night. It's just so cool. That's why this series works so well. It's because we get to see old friends again in like the future, and also different versions of them and how their lives could have been different if things shook out a little differently. Side note, it was really nice seeing Farm Old Finn again, and I love how like all of his children are references to like his children throughout the show in the main universe. I wonder how Fionna feels seeing that every other version of herself in the multiverse is a boy. Like, talk about gender dysphoria. That must kind of mess you up a little bit. I love getting to see Fionna in action. Like, she actually was a really great character that had agency and was able to do the rescuing and the fighting and all the cool things that Finn gets to do during the series, which was just nice. I think this was one of my favorite episodes in the series. Besides the amazing song and animation, it's nice that Fionna gets to make mistakes too. Like, that's what made Finn feel like such a great character, was that he was allowed to be so human and so flawed. Her reaction to the violence, being so wrong about the Ice Prince, and then having all that juxtaposed against Gary and Marshall in the main universe. I love cutting between these action sequences and then this just slice of life coffee shop AU like romance going on. Prince Gumball and Marshall Lee was my very first ship, so this had a very special place in my heart. I think the ending is perfect, embracing those fanfiction roots by having it be more like the real world, but still there's slightly more weirdness and magic that's introduced because of the events that unfolded in the series, kind of letting us know that yes, magical adventures are also possible inside this world too. And now that we're back to doing this illustration, it's just so jarring. I started this before having completed the series, and now after seeing the events unfold and having their universe be canonized and part of the multiverse legally now, it just makes me really happy because it allows the characters Fionna and Cake to stand on their own outside of Finn and Jake, and it also sort of frees up the characters that they can have their own adventures and their own canon that is completely 100% different from what happened with Finn and Jake in the Land of Ooh. So the Land of Awe, or the city, it's just, there'll be totally different surprises, totally different plots, totally different power dynamics being discovered. Like the fact that Gary doesn't hold any power at all and he just works at a coffee shop, like that's such a different dynamic that Bubblegum like really can't relate to at all. I just love that. And I would love for this show to continue in any way, shape, or form. Any way to get more Fionna and Cake is pretty high up in my request of things I would like in the future. Anyway, now I'm finishing up some clean inks. Yeah, I think this illustration still is fun, even though I much prefer the new characters rather than, you know, just rehashing scenes that happened in Finn and Jake, especially because Orange Princess and Susan Strong weren't there when this happened in the series. But I don't know, I'm just doing this because I did 4 designs and I was like, I wanna see those characters, but with Fionna and Cake. Like I can't do a Fionna and Cake video and not draw them at all in it. But yeah, it was fun kind of coming up with their personalities. Like, of course, Samson Strong is just eye candy. I call the Orange Princess Genderbent Blue Prince. It seems pretty obvious. Billy is still just Billy, but spelled differently, and that the Lich is named Baelnorn. So yeah, it's a fun image. If you want to include these kinds of characters in your fanfiction, I would love for Blueprints to get sort of the Huntress wizard treatment, where it's like this character that was completely in the background and irrelevant for 90% of the show, but then in the 11th hour, suddenly she's the #1 leading love interest for Finn. I just thought that was so hilarious. But I do think I'd ship Fionna more with like Hunter. I think that they could make a cute pairing. I was a little indecisive with what I wanted Blueprints' hands to be doing, but I eventually settled on this like high-tech force field that he would be summoning to sort of like keep the Baelnorn at bay, while Fionna can like figure out what she's doing. I also just love Cake's expression. I love drawing in the Adventure Time style. It's so cartoony and indulgent. Oh my gosh, it was really fun. And now I'm about to color everybody. This was pretty simple. It's just laying in flats, and then at the very end, I'm gonna do an overlay to make everyone a little more rosy so it's appropriate with like the indigo blue night happening behind them. I love the stripe pattern on Samson. I think they're so fun. And I also just love that I made the boots white for Blueprints. I just think it's so fun, and it has this like nice retro kind of feel to it. It's sort of just paint by numbers from this point forward, especially because I already done the designs. But yeah, let me know what were your thoughts on the Fionna and Cake TV show. Let me know what was your favorite part of the series, or a twist you didn't see coming, or in the multiverse, who you were excited to cameo. I would really love to read about it down below. Also, flash warning, there might be a little bit of blinking as I'm about to finish up doing the background with the colors. And also, I got very lazy towards the end of everything, and I decided to just copy and paste the candy castle into the background because I didn't feel like drawing it. There you go. This is the finished illustration. Normally this is where I tell you guys what to comment, but I feel like I asked you to leave so many comments during the video, but one more can't hurt. Tell me which one of these was your favorite redesign. Also remember that the comment section is a place for positivity, so if you do have a critique or something you don't like, just be nice and mindful about it. Any animated series is such a labor of love and so much work goes into it. Just be mindful that like actual human beings make these things, so there's a chance that they could read your comment, and just be respectful because they worked really hard to make the show a reality. Like I said at the top of the video, this was actually voted on by my Patreon members. You can vote for what videos I do at the $15 tier, but any amount is greatly appreciated and it really does help this channel to continue to run. Yeah, also feel free to like and subscribe. The link to my Patreon will be in the description, and for only like $4 a month, you can have your name in the end credits. And speaking of end credits, here they are now. Special thanks to Anna Sophia Boyd, Axelius the Great, Blue Uwu, Kay Clark, Christopher, Dabadudu, Dax Quinn, Emma Wee, Gay Jairus, J. Johar, JD Boy 2000, Johan, Kitsune Chibiko, Lucky Paradox, Melon, Mild Mothman, Native Runner, Orion Amastasia, Pinecone, Potion Cellar Door, Rin, Scorching Ray, Sir Camelot, Smalls the Sax Jammer, Shenanigans, Tad the Turtle, Tarthalinor, The Real Michael, Thumper Daytime, Thony, Tortilla Chips, Tuesdays Anyways, Tundra Katie Bean, and Tuppence Pies. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Nathan, and I'll upload a new video real soon. Bye!